What do you put the success of Audio Animals down to? And it's a good question, and I had some time to think about this, but it comes down to there's a few things it comes down to. The one thing, and this isn't the main thing, is the name. The name was very catchy, and it allowed us to really kind of progress quite quickly because the name stuck in people's heads. In terms of the brand, everything about it was bang on, and we did get it right. And that I put that is not the main thing, but that is a factor of why things were successful straight away, regardless of how much work or whatever we did was put into it. The name and the brand was very strong, and that allowed us to have great success at the early stages because people remembered what they were seeing, what they were being advertised. The branding really was massively important. But the main thing and the reason, and this is what I put the success down to, and the success comes from really working very, very hard. Doing at the beginning, we were doing 18 hours a day, and I remember it well. I didn't have a family at the time in terms of I didn't have wife, didn't have kids. I had this is going back nearly 10 years now, but I didn't have all that, so I had a lot of time, and it was literally 2 years worth of just solid work without really kind of reaping the rewards in terms of having time off. We literally went full steam ahead for the first 2 years non-stop. We were working 18 hours a day, and the way we were working was we were literally working, mixing for instance, or mastering, and then we'd go off, we'd sleep. We had a back room where we'd have a kip, and then we'd get straight back on to doing more work. At the time, at the beginning stages, we had one studio. So what we would have is if I was doing mixing, I would be in there doing mixing. If Nick was doing mastering, Nick would be in there doing mastering. So what we had there was one studio, which we were technically sharing, but we were working 18 hours, and that doesn't mean that when Nick's working, I'm off doing something. I'm off, having a fun time doing something work related. For me, what it was having a fun time was doing administration work, building website, improving on the business, building, like, updating the website, writing articles, doing videos. All these different things really were. They were pivotal in building the company, because the amount of work that we put into it, it didn't, if you were working 18 hours a day, it didn't reflect the amount of money you were being paid, kind of thing, because you were doing so much extracurricular stuff. You were only working, let's say, maybe 6, 7, 8 hours a day doing actual mixing. And it was a kind of a shared load. So we were working incredibly hard. And we always said from the get-go was, let's work extremely hard for the first couple of years, and then we can reap the rewards going forward after that. And I'll be honest with you, we kind of didn't really stop with that mentality. We just carried on working as hard as we possibly could. There's a lot of extracurricular stuff that you have to do with a business. It's not just about, like, if you have a business and you think of your business as this is what makes the money. Let's say the mixing, the mastering. Let's say that's what makes the money. If all you do is the mixing and mastering, if you've got 8 hours in a day, for instance, and all you do is the mixing and mastering, you'll fail, because all the other stuff that you don't technically get paid for, there's no money coming in from all the other stuff. If you don't do that, you won't have any mixing and mastering. You have to do all the other stuff that builds your brand, builds your studio, and builds your business up. All of that other stuff is highly important, and we knew that from a very very early days, and that's what we put a lot of time into. So when Nick weren't working, he was doing various different bits. He was building on the SEO of the website, things like that. When I wasn't working, I was writing articles, shooting videos, doing all these different things, building sample packs at the time, building all these different ways of kind of building the business. And I really do put that down to that is the reason we done so well, is because we put so much work into it at the early stages. We put so much time and effort into it, that it was very hard. It was very hard to fail. We couldn't fail because we had a great service that we were providing, and we were working so hard to bring people into the studio, and ultimately have a lot of work to do in terms of mixing and mastering, which was that's our bread and butter. That's where our money's coming from. But you have to put all your time, not all your time, but you have to put a lot of time into all the other stuff. So yeah, I would put that as number one, as the primary reason why we had so much success, was because of how much work we did and how hard we worked, and the amount of hours. And one thing I will say, and I said this in a previous video, was that I worked 18 hours a day, Nick worked 18 hours a day. What's that, 36 hours a day of hard work from two people. There's if I had, let's say for instance, I wasn't the director of the company and Nick wasn't the director of the company, I had a boss that said to me, right, Paul, I want you to work 18 hours a day. I'd have said, nah, jog on. I'm not having that, because you wouldn't. But when it's your own business, you're more than happy to work 18 hours a day. I'd have worked 24 hours a day if my body would have let me. But, you physically got to go and have some sleep. But yeah. All I'll say in regards to this is, if you ever do think of starting some sort of audio company, any sort of business really, is if you love what you do, you'll be more than happy to put in every hour of the day that you possibly can into your business, because at the end of the day, it's just going to build you as a person and build your business. And ultimately, if when you first set your business up, if you can really get the ball rolling, and you can get that rolling as quick as possible, it will just carry on going. And it's a really good feeling when things come together and you have success based on the fact that you've worked so hard.